She was dressed in rich materials, satins and lace and silks. So look at that lovely dash there. So that's a parenthesis adding a bit more. All of white. Her shoes were white and she had a long white veil dependent from her hair. So hanging from her hair. And she had bridal flowers in her hair and her hair was white. So a lovely description there, rule of three, white veil, bridal flowers, hair was white. Some bright jewels sparkled on her neck and on her hands, and some other jewels lay sparkling on the table. Dresses less splendid than the dress she wore, and half-packed trunks were scattered about. She had not quite finished dressing, for she had but one shoe on. The other was on the table near her hand. Her veil was but half arranged. Her watch and chain were not put on, and some lace for her bosom lay with those trinkets. So you can see lots of lovely description there, can't you? You've got the dresses, the jewels. So it's very detailed description. And some lace for her bosom lay with those trinkets, and with her handkerchiefs and gloves and some flowers and a prayer book all confusedly heaped about the looking glass. It was not in the first moments that I saw all these things, though I saw more of them in the first moments than might be supposed. This is poor little Pip. It's from the point of view of a little boy who's lost, all alone, an orphan. He gets taken to play with a child, and he gets taken to see this weird nightmare woman. I saw that everything within my view, which ought to be white, had been white long ago, had lost its lustre, which is shine, and was faded and yellow. So all the white had become yellow. I saw that the bride within the bridal dress had withered like the dress and like the flowers, and had no brightness left but the brightness of her sunken eyes. So it's an old lady in a dress who's actually been wearing that for years and years and years. How awful. I saw that the dress had been put upon the rounded figure of a young woman, and that the figure upon which it now hung loose had shrunk to skin and bone. So it's a very imaginative piece of this lady. In fact, she's been dumped at the altar where she's about to get married by this man. It turns out he's not a very nice man. We hear about him later. She's been dumped by him, so she's mourning for the rest of her life. Which, you know, to be honest, she probably had a lucky escape. So why she's mourning for the rest of her life? So she's mad, one has to say. She's mad. She's got mental health issues. Once I had been taken to see some ghastly waxwork at the fair, representing I know not what impossible personage laying in state. Once I had been taken to one of our old marsh churches to see a skeleton in the ashes of a rich dress that had been dug out of a vault under the church pavement. So you've got that repetition of once. And so this is the metaphor. Now waxwork and skeletons seem to have dark eyes that moved and looked at me. I should have cried out if I could. Who is it? Said the lady at the table. Pip, ma'am, Pip, Mr. Pumblechook's boy, ma'am. Come to play, come nearer, let me look at you, come close. And so when he gets close, and obviously it's completely ridiculous to expect him to play, the woman's absolutely nuts. And it's cruel to put a little boy there asking him to play. It was when I stood before her, avoiding her eyes, that I took note of the surrounding objects in detail and saw that her watch had stopped at 20 minutes to 9, that a clock in the room had stopped at 20 minutes to 9. Look at me, said Miss Havisham. You're not afraid of a woman who has never seen the sun since you were born. She's completely mad. I regret to state that I was not afraid of telling the enormous lie comprehended in the answer. No. Do you know what I touch here? She said, laying her hands one upon the other on the left side. Yes, ma'am. It made me think of the young man. What do I touch? Your heart. Broken. She uttered the word with an eager look and with strong emphasis, and with a weird smile that had a kind of boast in it. So what we see with this weird, mad woman is that she's likened to waxwork and skeletons. She's got death around her, really. And we also see that it's a very, very detailed 2-paragraph description. One, it says, you know, it shows the little boy looking, and then suddenly he realises that all of it is the opposite to what he sees. It's not sparkling, not sparkling. They're not splendid dresses. They're not splendid anything. They're all old and ruined, like the mad woman. So she's got an aura of madness. Everyone who comes into her vicinity, into her energy field, is affected and turned mad as well. She's a very, very unpleasant person who actually, it turns out, is determined to pay all men back, for that she was dumped at the altar when she wanted to be married. So she's trying to pay all men back, and so she chooses Pip to pay to experiment on to pay back, which is really mean, isn't it?
I hope you enjoyed that. And what I'd like you to do now is to do your own mad, fun, creative piece describing in about 2 paragraphs an odd, exotic person in an odd, exotic situation. You're welcome to steal all of this because that's why we read. All right. See you next time.